Alright, so in this video I want to talk about an effect that allows you to essentially fake slow motion, and it's called optical flow. Now it's going to work best if your clip is already shot in slow motion. Essentially, the more frames you shoot, the better it will work. So let's dive into this clip and show you how it does work. So when you're looking for a clip that is a good candidate for optical flow, you want to look for a part of your clip that doesn't have a lot of motion or a lot of moving parts within the action of the clip. So you'll notice that in this clip, with each frame, there's a pretty drastic movement, but by the time we get to about right here, when she's throwing the baby in the air, there's a point where the baby's kind of still at the top, at the pinnacle, for a few frames. So right here to about right there. So there's about 5 or 6 frames there where the baby's kind of in standstill, moving just a little bit, but not nearly as much as compared to these frames. So we're gonna find the point where we think the motion is kind of slowed down. We'll pick right there, cut it with our blade tool, and then find the part where the motion starts picking back up again, about right there. So now you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 or 9 frames here to work with that we can slow down and fake an even slower motion. So what we're gonna do is click on this. Now we're gonna push Command J, and we're gonna slow this down even more. Let's put 5%. Now if you watch this back, you see it's very juddery between every single frame. So we're going to come up into our effects panel, go to frame sampling at the very bottom, switch it from floor to optical flow, and that's going to analyze and blend the frames together to make it feel like it was super slow motion. So let's play it back from the beginning now and see how it looks. And as you can see, it's blended those frames together to make it appear and fake like it was shot in super slow-mo. Now you'll notice that the frames aren't blended perfectly. You see the little baby's pinky is having a hard time blending, but everything else seems to do pretty well. The fingertips in the left hand of my wife is kind of blending funky over there. So you want to try and find parts of the frame, like I said, where there's hardly any motion happening, and that's going to allow you to fake that slow motion better without those weird artifacts showing up in between each frame. But if you were to watch that just in passing, you probably wouldn't notice those little details, and you would just think, wow, that was a cool slow-mo. Now let's take a look at another example here. As this baby looks at camera, there's not a lot of movement for a few frames here, from about there to there. So I'm going to take that again, Command J, let's put that to 5%, stretching it out, click on it, frame sampling, optical flow, and we'll now play that back, and you'll see how it blends those frames and makes it look like super slow-mo. That one actually did a better job. There wasn't any objects moving too fast for it to blend well. So you see some clips will work better than others in blending those frames and creating that artificial slow-mo effect. So kind of a cool effect. Now Premiere Pro does also have this effect. It's also called optical flow. And so you'll see here that I've also pushed Command J on this middle clip, reduced it down in this case to 10%, and then changed the time interpolation from frame sampling to optical flow. And this is the result in Premiere Pro. Again, you're seeing that pinky of the baby having a hard time there, and the left hand of the mom right there with a little issue. So it looks like it does about the same job as Final Cut Pro's, and it's pretty comparable to Twixtor, which is a plugin. I think it's like $500–600 plugin you buy to do that very same thing. So I personally wouldn't recommend buying Twixtor. I think the optical flow, both in Final Cut and Premiere, do a great job as long as there's not too many fast moving objects in your frame. So there you have it, guys. That's optical flow for you, a great tool to fake extra slow motion. So that's it. If you have any further questions, please let me know.